this stuff. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Braja Jananjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Kunja Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Hari Jai Jagannath Jai Jagannath Jai Balaji Mai Subhadra Jai Srinath Ji Jai Balagopal Jai Srinath Ji Jai Giri Govardhan Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Srila Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivradikacharya Vastodhara Satyashishi Maharaj Divine Grace, founder of Iskana Bhai, Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Granthara Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Jai, their most merciful Lord Chief Shri Shri Bihari Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Nathaji, Shri Balagopal Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord, the Spirit of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devam Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamadhiraya
Tato Jayamudiraya
Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu
Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9. Are we on text 31? 31. Wow, that was quite a purport yesterday. Text 31. Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hatasubhas Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hatsubhas Hatasubhas, yeah, sorry. Tat Iksaya Vyashu Gata Yudha Shrama Tad Iksava Yai Vasu Gata Yudha Shrama Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas Tustava Janyam Vishrijan Janardanam Tustava Janyam Vishrijan Janardanam Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hasta Subhas Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hata Subhas Tad Iksaya Vasu Gata Yudashrama Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas Tustava Janyam Vishrijan Janardanam Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hata Subhas Tadiksaya Vasu Gata Yudashrama Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas Tustava Janyam Vishrijan Janardanam Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hata Subhas Tadiksaya Vasu Gata Yudashrama Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas Tustava Janyam Vishrijan Janardanam
Vishuddhaya Dharanaya Hatastu Bhas
Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hata Subhas
Tad Ishva Yavasu Gata Yudasmara
Tad Ikshaya Vasu Gata Yudashrama
Nivritta Sarvendra Vritti Vibramas
Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas
Tustaiva Janyam Vishjan Janardanam
Tustava Janyam Vishrijan Janardanam
Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hata Subhas
Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hata Subhas
Tadikshay Vasu Gata Yudhashrama
Tadiksaya Vasu Gata Yudashrama
Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas
Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas
Tustava Janyam Visarjana Janardanam
Tustava Janyam Vishrijan Janardanam Visuddhaya Dharanaya Hata Subhas Tadikshaya Vasugata Yudashrama Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibramas Tustavajanyam Vishvijanjanardanam Visudaya be purified. Dardanayana Dardanaya, yes. Meditation. Jai Sri Jai 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 Baladev Jai Sri Gurnitai. Hatha Subha, one who has minimized the inauspicious qualities of material existence.
One who has minimized the inauspicious qualities of material existence.
Which is everybody practicing. Tat, him. Ikshaya, by looking on. Eva, simply. Asu, immediately. Gata, having gone. Away. Sorry. Yuddha, from the arrows. Shrama, fatigue. Nivritta, being stopped. Sarva, all. Indriya, senses. Vritti, activities. Vibrama, being widely engaged. Sustava, he prayed. Janyam, the material tabernacle. Vishrijan, while quitting. Janardana, to the controller of the living beings. Visudaya Dharanaya Hatha Subhas Tariksaya Vasugata Yudashrama Nivritta Sarvendriya Vritti Vibrama Stritava Janyam Rishijan Janardanam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Abhay Charananavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. By pure meditation, looking at Sri Krishna, he at once was freed from all material inauspiciousness and was relieved of all bodily pains caused by the arrow wounds. Thus all the external activities of his senses at once stopped, and he prayed transcendentally to the controller of all living beings while quitting his material body. Please repeat. By pure meditation. Looking at Lord Sri Krishna. He at once was freed from all material inauspiciousness and was relieved of all bodily pains caused by the arrow wounds. Thus all the external activities of his senses at once stopped, and he prayed transcendentally to the controller of all living beings while quitting his material body. By pure meditation, looking at Lord Sri Krishna, he at once was freed from all material inauspiciousness and was relieved of all bodily pains caused by the arrow wounds. Thus all the external activities of his senses at once stopped, and he prayed transcendentally to the controller of all living beings while quitting his material body. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charananavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The material body is a gift of the material energy, technically called illusion. Identification with the material body is due to forgetfulness of our eternal relationship with the Lord. For a pure devotee of the Lord like Bhishmadev, this illusion was at once removed as soon as the Lord arrived. Lord Krishna is like the sun, and the illusory external material energy is like darkness. In the presence of the sun, there is no possibility that darkness can stand. Therefore, just on the arrival of Lord Krishna, all material contamination was completely removed, and Bhishmadev was thus able to be transcendentally situated by stopping the activities of the impure senses in collaboration with matter. The soul is originally pure, and so also the senses. By material contamination, the senses assume the role of imperfection and impurity. By revival of contact with the Supreme Pure, Lord Krishna, the senses again become freed from material contaminations. Bhishmadev attained all these transcendental conditions prior to his leaving the material body because of the Lord's presence. The Lord is the controller and benefactor of all living beings. That is the verdict of all the Vedas. He is the supreme eternity and living entity amongst all the eternal living beings. And he alone provides all the necessities for all kinds of living beings. Thus he provided all facilities to fulfill the transcendental desires of his great devotee Bhishmadev, who prayed as follows, which we will see in the next verse. Now there is a reference being made to the statement here about he is the supreme eternity and living entity amongst all the eternal living beings. And that is Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yoga Dadatikam from the Katha Upanishad. He is eternally the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnanatamrandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshusan Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Here is Grandfather Bhishma revealing to us perfect way to leave our bodies. Thinking about Krishna. Now he'd just gone, he laid on that battlefield, I forget how many days, like a week or so, wasn't it? It was a week to 10 days, something like that. Covered in arrows, so you can imagine the pain he would be feeling. But as soon as Krishna enters the presence, all pain was gone. See, this was also due to his consciousness. Our minds are controlling the bodies and receiving signals from the body when pain is happening that something's wrong, right? So you could say being hit by hundreds, if not thousands of arrows through your entire body till you lay down on a bed of arrows is what the body might interpret as wrong. So, but as soon as Krishna enters the room, everything is returned. But it is his consciousness, Grandfather Bhishma, and his desire to see Krishna that brought Krishna into that place with him. And so this is being revealed to us as well. Our desire at the time of leaving this body, if our desire is right, Grandfather Bhishma, having all his life been brought up in the Vedas and knowing full well the perfect time to leave the body, was waiting, even though he was in that extreme form of pain, for the exact moment. The universe, everything in the universe, it's in a constant state of motion, moving, like the soul. It's always active. doing something, even though we may be sitting in one place. Buddhists are trying to stop their thoughts, but by emptying out our own mind, that enables Krishna to fill our minds. So this is what the purification is being. When we purify something to drink from, it means we take all the dirty things out. Right? So when we look at this one word that was translated as one who has minimized the inauspicious qualities of material existence. Not only do we minimize the inauspicious qualities of existence, but they make that to be the grandest stake, exalted as, that meal which is for the rich man to gain the echelon of being in the place to be able to have what they would think of as the position of status in society, to be able to indulge. They're putting quality of value on the quality by how long it takes to prepare it, how easy it is to obtain it, and all these things. Krishna puts different values on things than we do. And so he may put more value on the purity of a cow than on a human being that minimizes the inauspicious things of this world. Because the cow is born into the mode of goodness. So this automatically puts it in a place to be able to offer to the society that which is beneficial to it, which we are developing the consciousness to be able to do. We have to study for years and years and years of our lives to find out for ourselves how we can apply all of our learning to somehow benefit society. The cow, by having a baby, from its body then produces nourishment for any human being. And providing it every bit of nourishment the entire body needs to reproduce the eyes, the ears, the nose, mouth, everything. So in a sense, and then when we analyze what the body of a human being is producing, it's contributing to that inauspiciousness that we were talking about. That this whole world is filled with this inauspiciousness. So we know, see, when human beings also adapt this animal lifestyle, when their stool is used as fertilizer, the food will cause sickness and disease. Yeah, it'll make you sick. That's why they don't use human waste. And it has to go through a whole process of purification, which they do. They have a whole system of doing that. In Arizona, they have these big, huge vats full of human waste. I mean, just getting about a mile away from it, you can know it's there. You don't have to even be shown a map of where that place is. You can smell it. But the sun, it's an amazing thing that's going on with this process of recycling. We think as human beings, we have created a system of recycling so that we're saving everything. But built into the Earth's way of life being produced, everything subsisting off of everything else, there is a perfect cycle going on. And it is set in such a way that it could go on forever and ever and ever if Krishna wanted it to. There's a perfect recycling. So much so is the purifying process that it goes through is that we can drink water that's been drunk by billions of living entities before already. We're drinking that's already been drunk. I wanted to bring out, I was pointing out right before class this idea. See, we practice deity worship, which is very much looked at by many offshoots of Christianity as idol worship. And I wanted to point out the significant importance of conducting ourselves properly on the altar and carrying on the traditions as they were established by Narada Muni. Because if we don't, then we will be guilty of those things we're being accused of. But see, why they are accusing us as well is because they were given instructions by God against the unauthorized creation of forms from the earth that were believed to be worshipable by the human beings. And in correction of that, God gives statements that human beings shouldn't act in that way. So what happens then, human beings take it that applies to everybody in the whole world for all time and all circumstance and every situation. Most people following the scriptures of the Christians believe that you can't see God without dying. So we can conclude from this that none of them have. Wouldn't that be an easy conclusion to make if someone says you can't see God until you die? That they have not seen God. So this statement in and of itself being made as a form of absolute truth. Here again, I'm being brought back to the realization that there are very few people, I believe, who would think it would be right for them to give a commentary on a book they never read. Boy, you jumped up fast when I said that. But see, we have here a book. This Bhagavatam, it's not a book. There's 30 volumes of books that is contained in this. If we read a verse every day from this selection of books from Shrimadbhagavatam until we were all ready to leave our bodies, we would not have repeated, we would not have had to have repeated, because even going back to the beginning again, it would have taken so long for us to have completed the first version of it that it would be fresh in our minds again.
18,000 verses.
Which is why if we have any intent in our minds to perfect these lives, we can know this is the books, these are the books to do it with. We shouldn't be in our minds thinking now we have to go look for something else. I see a lot of devotees running to this theosophist, this philosopher, that philosopher, and that. Shrimadbhagavatam is the ultimate, the summum bonum. Demigods, many of them, don't even have the full knowledge being given in these scriptures, and they've already made it to the heavenly planets. But we are being given that by Lord Chaitanya himself imparting to us. This is the preliminary study to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This will take 9 months to finish on its own. But the goal is to get to Chaitanya Charitamrita, to understand the deepness of the love being revealed by the avatar of this age, of the entire age of Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya is the avatar. He is the one whose principles we are being given the instructions to follow. And that being reduced because of the weakness of this age, of the people, the human beings of this age, to the simplest process of all time, in all ages, this chanting of Hare Krishna and singing Hare Krishna and dancing and being happy people. Why would the instruction to be happy be there? When people see others that are happy, when people see others that are fully fed, they want to know where the food's coming from. When they see you happy, they want to know how you're getting happy. And it's because you know what you are, you know who you are, you know who you're serving. And we know Krishna has revealed himself personally to some cultures of people who have been able to be risen to the standard of consciousness that has welcomed Krishna into their presence. And we do that knowing that by the recitation of his name, we reveal to God our feelings for him. And so that's why this instruction is being given to us, to sing and to realize there is no other greater name than the name of God. But God has so many millions of names, every one being specifically named according to the relationship the devotee is having with him at the time he is using that name to address Krishna. This is revealed also in the Hebrew scriptures. God has given them also many names to recognize him by in their language. But it is revealed in that language that at one time the entire earth spoke one language. And from the involvement of those people believing they were doing God's service, attempting to reach heaven by artificial means. And heaven's not the ultimate goal anyways. So what might be looked at, this breaking down, it was called the Tower of Babel. Now we use the word Babel to mean people are speaking things that nobody, either they don't understand or doesn't mean anything anyway, right? But they were so involved in this process, believing they were going to gain the heavenly realms. Now, you could look at it from two ways. Maybe they were going to get there, but because it was not a way God was authorizing, he stopped them by that. But maybe the way they were trying to get there by would never be accomplished anyways, and so God struck it down with that. But both ways would be a form of mercy on God's part, even though man would think of it as God's wrath, isn't it? We look the same way at death. We think of death as the ultimate judgment of God, finally determined I'm bad enough to take me away. But in cases with devotees have fulfilled their purpose now. They come with a purpose, they fulfill that purpose. And then they become more complete by engagement in that divine purpose now. The auspicious, how we are revealing the inauspiciousness of this world is by engaging in the auspicious energy of Krishna, the Supreme, by whose standards inauspicious and auspicious are established. These divinely inspired mantras, every one of these verses is a mantra from the nectar of instruction. when Gurukulis are going to school, these instructions are considered so basic that they read these every morning, or they recite them by memory every morning. So it's a good idea. If we can't make it a habit to recite these every morning, at least as often as we find time to, we will find great inspiration from just hearing these. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha. This holy place of Mathura is available here on the planet. It is superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. The Lord appears in Vaikuntha as well, but see, they're distinguishing by the personal appearance of this particular form of Krishna, who is revealing his original form. This is why Grandfather Bhishma is in such an auspicious place, because he's able to see face to face that form that Krishna has told Arjuna to remember him as. And here is Grandfather Bhishma seeing Krishna in that very form, as a lover of his servants, as a lover, as a friend, and a member of his family even. Superior to Mathura, Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And see, these Rasa Leela pastimes are being revealed as the highest teachings and the most purest forms of love that human beings can develop for God. And when God brings us to that stage of development, we can actually not only see him face to face, but dance with him. Dance with God. When Lord Chaitanya is on the planet, he's coming in the form, just like we come in the form of God and man, and God and soul. God and woman, God and man, God and soul. The soul has the ability to be either one. It can be male or female. And if it carries with it desires from both experiences, then it will have both. Psychologists don't realize this as an abnormality, that it needs to be corrected. It's a correction of the mind's consciousness, not allowed to control the rest of the society. Which is what is happening now with this LGBTQ thing. All the society is supposed to govern itself around them. No. You're supposed to come to the understanding of what this body and the desires that the mind creates using the senses of the body forces us to do, and we have to receive instruction on how to overcome that mind. How to be the controller of the mind. They are being controlled by the mind incorrectly, because the mind has to be trained in order for the mind to know how to function properly. It has to be trained. So this is where morality comes into place. And ever since school has been forced, teachers have been forced to keep from being able to use their own moral standards to discipline children. This has been going on now for 20, 30, 40 years. And the end result is mass killings. Children coming back to the school kill their teachers, who they should have love for. And yet it's just the opposite ending. Why? All is because of the neglecting of God's teachings, which establish within humankind relationships that humans are supposed to experience. And without that knowledge, without the training in the mind, there's no way for us to know. Baby can't figure it out for themselves. You find in some cases when children some parents are so brutal, they'll chain their kids to beds. And by this, the children left to themselves, they can't train themselves in how to be loved. They end up being so totally defeated psychologically. They're deprived of what is necessary for human existence, to know what human life is meant to be. And they have the form of a human, but never get to experience even human consciousness. Because the desires that are being promoted by allowing children's minds not to be controlled, and they say we're brainwashing, but the brain needs to be cleaned. So the term has application in reality, actually. And that's what this process is giving us as well. The means of becoming clean, inside and outside. You know, there's a mantra, even when we bathe, taking a bath, shower. Om Vitra Pavitra Va Sarvavasram Gitopi Va Yasmarat Pundarikacham Samaya Prantrasiti. You know, no matter what family we were born in, no matter how terrible our parents were, how much more a father could be terrible to a child than what Hiranyakasipu was. Having them trampled by elephants, poking them with knives and bludgeoning fish. And yet, he came out a pure devotee. You get that from his teachers, though. He had to get that from Narad Muni. So just like we're giving teachings that the teachers are not giving you. Narad Muni was giving to Prahlad while he was in the womb of his mother. See, I've come to understand we're lacking in society. We think, even as devotees, we've got the highest philosophy, we do. But we haven't applied some of the basic principles yet to be getting the full effect of what this philosophy is actually offering us. Children can be taught from the womb. This is revealed in the scriptures over and over again. Narad Muni did this before as well. So, Dhruva Maharaj, 5 years old as well. See, we are in a position now to be able to gain the full benefits and to be able to gain the future vision of what Krishna wants to turn this planet into. And Lord Chaitanya brought the ability for us to do that with this chanting. Now, if we carry with us the same stigmas that they are portraying us to be having by this chanting as being some kind of low class, low form, done by people that are not educated in the streets because they got nothing else to do. If we hold that in our minds, we're not going to be able to take part in the activity. Because this activity is being described by God as the highest activity there is to participate in. Think of that. The highest activity there is to participate in. And yet, we're thinking it is a bunch of young kids that don't know what they're doing. Just having fun out in the street like rock and rollers or whatever. Playing games. Having fun. So people in the material world, misguided, haven't got the basic understanding of what human life is supposed to be doing, what we're supposed to be doing with our lives. And in the process now, we're creating crimes that are not crimes. And we're punishing people for things that are not criminal. The whole legal system is messed up. And if we were all doing what we're supposed to be doing, everybody would want to be doing it. So this is why I have a longing again to be able to go out and chant in the streets, singing and dancing with cartels and drums. Because if everybody was doing that, we have the idea of, oh, things wouldn't function, there would be no food growing. This Tirthabad, he is chanting more than I see anybody chanting, and yet he has a garden the size of what 4 families would normally raise. He's raising enough food in here. You can see he's got opal squash this big, enough to feed, tons of people. Just amazing. And this boy involves himself with so many activities. It takes 3 or 4 devotees to replace him, the kind of activities he's engaged in. And just being, you can know by friendship with him, you'll never go hungry. You'll never go hungry. He's got so many seeds set aside now, it'll be fine for the next 10 years. And then 10 years from now, we'll still have 10 years. He's a great soul and a great example of Krishna consciousness. And so, see, this is what gives people the realization, when we fully dedicate ourselves, we fully do everything we can using all our energy, people see in us something that they don't find anywhere else, that's not available anywhere else. Because these things, to purify the earth, needs to be purified. Now we're finding out, even you buy this bottled water. Bottled water is being bottled because the government's not doing it well enough. They're allowing standards that most human beings wouldn't allow. Arsenic, mercury, lead. These things are allowed in water we're drinking. And then they put it in plastic bottles, which now they're finding contains carcinogens in it, because the plastic itself being sucked out of Mother Bhumi's body, which is her lifeblood, this oil. It is the blood of the earth. And then we burn it, and then we also confine it, we process it so it becomes very hard, exchange for other things we normally use, in exchange for cloth, in exchange for leather and things like that. But the act of sucking Mother's blood out for our purposes is a sinful act. And the reaction we get from it is cancer. Cancer. So even our use, we put it in bottles to keep it from being contaminated, but the bottles are contaminating it. Isn't it? It's really ironical. All the effort being made by the professions in the world are doing as much harm as they're claiming themselves to be doing good. All you got to do is look at the label. It says the side effects. You got one problem, but you got 5 side effects. What is that? Is that supposed to be a cure? This is the world we're living in, but it has to be changed. And how simply to do it, Lord Chaitanya says, in the secrecy of your home, you're changing it by chanting the mantra, because the mantra has a subtle effect on the worlds. The world is surrounded by a force of energy called the false ego. And by your false ego being broken, it is part of the outer force moving people to engage in karmic activities, reactions that come from they do not know where. And so the only way we can become free is by getting into that bhakti energy. And that's what this chanting is. Krishna, please engage me in your energy. Because as we see the results of material energy, then we can develop this consciousness like Grandfather Bhishma. We only want to see Krishna. We only want to see Krishna. He went through the whole battlefield. That was his whole desire in the battlefield, just to see Krishna at that moment. Willing to break. What would you do to see God, to see a face on God's face, the appearance of God's face, to see him willing to break his own word to save the one he loves, to save one that he loves, to save his devotee. God would break his word to save his devotee. Wow. Grandfather Bhishma was able to bring him to that point, to show how powerful love is. He did this as well with Yudhisthira on the battlefield. Yudhisthira is the incarnation of religion. But religion is powerless without God. This is what happened on the battlefield. When Krishna, God, said, say that Ashwatthama is dead. Ashwatthama is dead. He would not do that. Because as an incarnation of religion, see, religion here, I'm being made aware right now. This thing is squinting at the law. This was also pointed out by Christ. What lawmakers do in looking for lawbreakers, they will scrutinizingly make a big problem out of a little tiny thing. They say, make a mountain out of a molehill, right? So this is what, when a police officer's profession and his success is looked at by how many tickets he gives, right? Then he has to give tickets. So normally if 10 miles an hour over the speed limit is what he would stop somebody at, if he's behind on his tickets, he might lower it down to 7 now, right? Even though it's just as wrong. So similarly, people are being trained in their minds from childhood, right from wrong. Some things that they're being told are right are actually wrong. Some things they're being told are wrong are actually good. My sister died from an allergy of penicillin. Every form of penicillin I've ever had has been good for me. She died from an allergy to it. And so my mother has a saying, what is good for one is poison for another, may kill another. But what we can take with Krishna consciousness is this that is good for us in the form of Krishna consciousness is good for every single soul.
Yeah.
Most medicine, can only be taken by one who is sick, because if you take medicine when you're not sick, it can make you sick. But this sickness that we have, the material sickness of the false ego, every single person on the planet is infected by it. And now we've got the medicine. All we have to do is take the medicine, chant Hare Krishna, and once we find, it's like jaundice. Srila Prabhupada compares it more like jaundice. Because jaundice is compared to it because jaundice is cured by sugar. And when you have jaundice, your body turns yellow. Your eyes even turn yellow. And when you taste sugar, it tastes very bitter. And so the cure for it is to take sugar, even though it tastes bitter. See, why we can use jaundice as a more perfect example is because sugar is not poison normally in its normal usage. It is if you eat it like most people are eating it. But in its normal usage, sugar, the body requires sugar, actually, and runs out. Everything in the field has sugar in it. But sugar, because too, once we start taking the medicine and we get cured, it is in the curing that it makes the sweetness experienced. And that's what we want everybody to know, is how sweet it is. Jackie Gleason, how sweet it is. Yeah. If we could know how sweet the names are, then we wouldn't want to do anything else. We would just be chanting. Like Namacharya. It's moving into lateness now, so we have to end class. Any comments? Any questions? Any realizations? Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.